Hello everyone, I'm going to give you a quick walkthrough on the circuit, the complicated combination of series and parallel resistors that I gave you this time around. We're going to start with just looking at, are there any that are just in series or just in parallel? And if you look closely, you'll see that there are in fact two sets that are just in series. That's going to be, first off, we have R2 and R3 here. Those are just in series. If you go through one of them, you have to go through the other. And the other set is R5 and R6 over here. Those are in series, because if you go through one, you have to go through the other. So, how much do we have at each of those series collections? Well, series resistors are really easy. You just add them together. So I've got 25 and 50 here, so this is just 75 ohms. Sorry about the horrible handwriting. Of resistance right here. And over here I have 100 and 200, and so that's going to be 300 ohms of resistance here. So we can just replace those 25 and 50. I could put 75 there, and 100 and 200 I could put 300 there, and I end up with a simpler circuit. And so that would look like this. So now I've got a simpler looking circuit with the replacements made, 75 here and 300 there. Now, I don't have anything that's just in series anymore because I have options. If I go through R9 and R11, or I could go through R10 and R11 here, I have a split. But I do have some parallel groupings. In fact, I've got parallel groupings here, what I've got labeled as R9 and R10. Those two are parallel to each other. And I've got a grouping here, what I have labeled as R12 and R14. Those two are parallel to each other. So I can now analyze these as parallel groupings. So let's have a look at those. So this grouping, remember when you have parallel resistors, you have to add them as inverses. You're actually making the resistance go down because you have an extra path for the electrons to follow. So the total resistance here, I'm going to do that as inverses. 1 over the total resistance is going to be 1 over 150 plus 1 over 75 ohms. And 75 times 2 is 150, so this is actually 3 over 150. So that means that my resistance total here is 150 divided by 3, which is just 50 ohms. And I can do the same thing for this next parallel grouping over here. 1 over the total resistance is going to be 1 over 300 ohms plus 1 over the other 300 ohms. So that's 2 over 300 ohms. And then when I invert it, I get 300 divided by 2, which is a total resistance here of just 150 ohms. So I could replace this group with a 50 ohm resistor, and I could replace this group with a 150 ohm resistor, and I'd get the same circuit. And that would look like this. So this is ultimately what our circuit is equivalent to. Now, why would we not just use this, not just have something this simple? Well, you have a couple of reasons. One is that you might not have exactly the resistance values you need available to buy. So you go with what you can buy and you wire it into what you need. The other option is there might be other outputs scattered around with those resistors and you really need them at those specific spots in the circuit to give you the outcome you want in your design. At any rate, now what I have left is just a series of 3 resistors. And series resistance is really easy. 50 ohms, 250 ohms, and 150 ohms is a total of 450 ohms. So that's my total resistance here. My total resistance is 450 ohms. Alright, so that means I'm going to have a current going through this circuit. I'm just going to label that I. And that's really easy to calculate. And that's going to be take my potential, my 9 volts, divided by my 450 ohms. And so that ends up being a total, what's that, 0.02 amps. 0.02 amps of current going through the circuit. Now once we have that, we can start working this process backward. We can take that 0.02 amps and we can use that to figure out what's the total potential drop across each of these 3 resistors. So let's look at those one at a time. The potential drop here, I'm going to take my current, I'm going to multiply it by my resistance, and I'm going to get the potential drop. So this potential is going to be 0.02 amps times 50 ohms, and so that'd be 0.2 times 5, which is just 1 volt. Okay, and then what's this one going to be? Well, this one's going to be 0.02 amps times 250 ohms. Right? And so what's that going to be? Well, that's going to be 5 volts. And then lastly, we look at this one, and I've got a potential here, which is going to be 0.02 amps times 150 ohms, and that is going to be 4 volts. And there we have it. So we've got a 0.02 amp current going through the entire circuit, coming out of that power supply, out of that battery or whatever it's going to be powering it. And I'm going to go up 9 volts there, and then I'm going to drop 1 volt here, and I'm going to drop 5 volts here, and I'm going to drop... Did I mess that up? That's not 4, that's that's 3 actually. So let's just quick erase that 4 here. That's what happens when you rush. So this is not 4, that's 3 volts there. Okay, so we've got 1 volt and 5 volts and 3 volts for a total of 9 volts. And now I can take that and I can go back to the previous version of the circuit and use that current and these potentials to figure out what are the currents and potentials in the individual segments, the individual resistors that we had before. So let's go back to this version of the circuit. Now what do I have? I still have my 0.02 amps coming off of that battery. And now what I have is from this point to this point, I have a 1 volt drop. And if I have a 1 volt drop here, I have a 1 volt drop here across what I've labeled as R10. And that means I can figure out what the current is on each of these branches. Okay? Well, let's look at that. I'm going to call this one, I'll just call that one I9, and I'll call this one I10. And each one of those individually is going to obey Ohm's law. So this I9, that's going to be this 1 volt, and it's going to be divided by this 150 ohms. Okay? And so what are we going to get for that? So we'll just do a quick number here. We're going to do 1 over 150, and that's going to be 0.0067 amps. 0.0067 amps. And what about this one? What's this one going to be? Well, same thing for I10 is going to be 1 volt divided by 75 ohms, and it's going to be twice as much as this was, right? Because I'm dividing by half as much. So 1 over 75, I expect that to be 0.013. 0.0133 amps. And you'll see, in fact, if you add those two together, 0.0067 and 0.0133 amps, that those two are going to add up to the 2 amps that went into this junction. 2 amps went into the junction, they split off, 0.067 amps went through the 150 ohm resistor, 0.0133 amps went through the 75 ohm resistor, and then coming back over here, I have once again 0.02 amps. .02 amps. Sorry, still getting used to this tablet. I know the handwriting's terrible. And we actually know what's going on there. We know that this is 0.02 amps. We have 250 ohms. We know that this potential is going to be 5 volts drop from this junction here to this junction here. Okay, so we've got currents and potentials across these two, this one, these two. Okay. And then lastly, this parallel branching at the end, we know that we have a potential from here to here, and that is going to be a 3 volt drop. And that means that I know the current through each of those branches. Right? I know I'm going to have a current here. I'm going to call this I12, I12, and I have a current here. I'm going to call this I14. And what are those values going to be? Well, I12 is going to be 3 volts divided by 300 ohms. And what's that going to be? That's going to be 0.01 amperes of current. And the same thing for I14 is also, because it's 300 ohms, going to be 0.01 amperes of current. So now I know the current through this top branch and this bottom branch, both 0.01 amps, just like I knew the current through this top branch was 0.067 amps and this bottom branch was 0.0133 amps. With that knowledge, I can then go back to the original version of the circuit and I can take it apart and find the potentials across those individual resistors. So let's do that. Let's go back. This is our original circuit. And what do we have? Here I have 0.02 amps. Here I have a 1 volt drop, and I have a current of 0.067 amps. Here I have a current of 0.0133 amps. Put that 1 in there. Here I have a current of 0.02 amps, a potential of 5 volts. That hasn't changed. Up here on the top I have a current which we just figured out was 0.01 amps, and down here again 0.01 amps. And so now I have what I need to get those last couple of potentials. Okay, we know that this sort of V1 is 1 volt. Right? We know V4 is 5 volts. Okay, we know V7, that's easy. It's going to be this 3 volts here. V7 is going to be 3 volts. Okay. But we don't know V2, V3, V5, and V6. But we know the resistances, and we know the individual currents. So V3 is simply going to be 25 ohms multiplied by 0.0133 amps. Okay. If we do that quickly over here, times 25 ohms, that's going to be 0.33 volts here. 0.33 volts. So that's here. Again, I'm getting ahead of myself. That 25 ohms, that's V2, not V3. Sorry about that. So V2 here is 0.33 volts. And then I'll put this in a different color. We'll say V3 is going to be 50 ohms times that same 0.0133 amps. And so that's going to end up being this 0.67 volts. And that's going to be V3 from here to there. And you can see that when I add those two together, the 0.33 volts and the 0.67 volts, that those are going to add up to the 1 volt drop that goes from this point to that point. That's still a total of a 1 volt potential drop. Now I can do the same thing over here at R5 and R6. I can figure out what V5 and V6 are. So we'll say V5 is going to be 100 ohms, 100 ohms times 0.01 amps. And so that ends up being, of course, a 1 volt drop. And then similarly, our last one there, across R6, I'll call that V6. I'm going to take 200 ohms times 0.01 amps, and so that's going to be 2 volts. And again, we expect that when I'm going from this spot here to this junction over here, that I should be having a total of a 3 volt drop. Well, it's a 3 volt drop if I go through R7. If I go across this top branch, it's going to be a 2 volt drop across R5, and then a 1 volt drop, a 1 volt drop across R5, and then a 2 volt drop across R6 to bring us the total 3 volts back to this 0 spot. So any way that we go, you're going to be seeing, if you make a complete loop, your energy is going to be a 0 total change. And if I start over here in this sort of starting point here, let's say this is my starting point here, okay? Follow any path back to that starting point and you'll have a total of 0. So 9 volt gain on the battery. Let's take the top branches. So 9 up, we go down 1, we go down 5, down 1 more, down 2 more, and I'm at 0, back where I started. Well, how about the bottom branches? We'll do that. Gain 9, okay, drop 0.33, drop 0.67, drop 5, drop 3, you're back at 0. And any complete path you make from starting point at the negative end of your battery back around to that point should be a total energy change of 0. Whatever your gain here, you're going to lose on your way back to that starting point. And so that is how we analyze this circuit. I hope that that helps. I'll post the written solutions as well. And let me know if you have any questions. Have a good day.